Two tiny coins, easily overlooked, yet each capable of commanding thousands of dollars in the right hands. Today, we're shining a spotlight on two dimes, yes, that little silver-colored piece of change most people barely notice, that carry stories of rarity, mystery, and real value. Whether you're an experienced collector or someone who happened to stash away coins years ago, what you're about to hear might just change the way you see the dimes rattling around in your junk drawer forever. Let's kick things off with the 1995 Roosevelt Dime, a coin that's modern enough most people don't think twice about it, but one that's quietly become a bit of a superstar among sharp-eyed collectors. The Roosevelt Dime, first issued in 1946, has a strong emotional legacy. President Franklin D. Roosevelt, a giant of American history, was closely tied to the March of Dimes, a campaign to fight polio, a disease he personally battled. When he passed away in 1945, the public pushed for a coin to honor him, and the dime felt like the perfect tribute. John R. Sinnock, chief engraver at the U.S. Mint, designed the profile portrait we still recognize today, with a torch, olive branch, and oak branch on the reverse representing liberty, peace, and strength. By 1995, the Roosevelt dime had already been circulating for almost 50 years. Most of the coins produced that year were struck at either the Philadelphia or Denver Mint and looked like any other standard dime you'd spend at the grocery store. But hidden among them were mistakes, real, valuable mint errors that transformed ordinary coins into serious collector's pieces. The most desirable 1995 dime errors fall into three main categories: off-center strikes, double dies, and broad strikes. Each of these error types tells a slightly different story about what went wrong during production. Off-center strikes happen when a coin blank, called a planchet, isn't properly seated between the dies during striking. The result is a coin with part of the design missing, pushed toward one side, sometimes dramatically. On a minor off-center strike, say, 5% to 10% off, you might barely notice anything wrong. But when you start seeing 30%, 40%, even 60% off-center coins, especially with the full date still visible, that's when you're looking at a real prize. Collectors love dramatic off-center errors, particularly when the key identifying features, date, mint mark, Roosevelt's portrait, are still recognizable. Double dies are another kind of gem. These errors originate at the die creation stage itself. If the hub impresses the design onto the die slightly askew during production, every coin struck from that die will show doubling. For the 1995 dime, doubled images on the date, the word liberty, and in God we trust, can sometimes be seen clearly with the naked eye, though a good magnifying glass or loupe is a big help. It's a striking visual error, and among collectors, strong visible doubling can send prices soaring. Broad strikes round out the main errors for 1995 dimes. These occur when a coin is struck without the retaining collar that normally gives it a crisp, round edge. Without the collar's constraint, the coins, and the 2015 dime has a few fascinating surprises up its sleeve that prove newer coins can absolutely demand attention, and serious money. The standout story for the 2015 dime centers around missing clad layer errors. Let's break that down. Modern dimes aren't made from solid silver anymore, they're a sandwich of copper and nickel layers fused together. When that fusion process goes wrong, a dime might be missing its outer nickel layer on one or both sides. Instead of the usual shiny silver color, the exposed copper gives the coin a distinct reddish-brown tone. It's immediately striking once you know what you're looking for, and it's far from common. Some 2015 dimes also show off dramatic die break errors. These happen when the die, the hardened piece of metal that stamps the coin's design, develops cracks from repeated use. When the cracked die strikes the blank, the resulting coin shows raised, irregular lines where the metal squeezed through the break. Collectors often nickname these cuds or cracks, depending on their size and location. While minor die cracks are fairly routine, major ones, where whole sections of the design are distorted or missing, can command big premiums. Key features to spot on a 2015 missing clad layer dime include an obvious copper-colored surface, often on one entire side, along with a noticeably lighter weight, these coins can be about 10% lighter than standard dimes. Missing clad layer errors sometimes confuse the untrained eye because of how radically different they look. But under magnification, the surface texture and color are clear giveaways. In terms of market value, a circulated 2015 dime with a partial missing clad layer might sell for $75 to $150, depending on severity. Full missing clad layers, where an entire side is copper, start around $200 and can reach $500 or more for well-preserved examples. Coins with complete, clean separation and brilliant uncirculated surfaces are especially desirable and can break past $800 at auction. Die break errors vary widely in value. A small die crack might be a $20 curiosity, but larger, dramatic breaks, especially if they obscure key parts of the design like Roosevelt's head or the date, can hit $300 to $600 or more. In some cases, if the cut or crack adds a particularly striking visual element, such as forming an odd shape or bisecting the coin dramatically, collector interest surges even higher. One of the more intriguing stories from recent years involved a 2015 dime with a full missing clad layer on the obverse and a major cut on the reverse. The combination of errors was so extreme and visually stunning that it sparked a bidding war at a regional coin auction. Final hammer price? Just over $2,700. Not bad for the 2003 U.S. One dime might not seem like a natural candidate for fame at first glance. After all, by the early 2000s, U.S. mint technology had become highly sophisticated, with strict quality control processes that made major mistakes increasingly rare. But sometimes, against all odds, a few truly fascinating pieces slipped through, and when they did, they sent shockwaves through the collecting world. The most prized variety from 2003 is the so-called off-center strike dime. In simple terms, this happens when the coin blank, or planchet, isn't properly seated in the coining press. Instead of being struck perfectly between the two dies, it's off to the side, resulting in a coin where part of the design is missing, sometimes dramatically so. The error is immediately obvious and, frankly, kind of mesmerizing. You'll often see dimes where Roosevelt's face is squished to the left or right, with wide blank spaces eating into the rim. Another 2003 anomaly that gets collectors talking is the clipped planchet error. Picture a bite taken out of the edge of the coin. That's basically what a clipped planchet looks like. These happen during the blanking process when metal strips are punched improperly, causing overlapping cuts. It's an error rooted deep in the earliest stage of production, which makes it all the more exciting. Key features to watch for on the 2003 error dimes include the degree of off-center striking. Coins that are around 5 to 10% off-center are collectible, but once you get to 40%, 50%, or even more, the rarity and desirability skyrocket. With clipped planchets, the size, shape, and positioning of the clip play a huge role. A neat crescent-shaped clip on a well-centered coin can be extremely valuable. As for market value, the range is pretty wide depending on the severity of the error and the overall condition. A minor off-center 2003 dime in circulated shape might pull in around $30 to $75. But examples that are off-center by more than 50%, with full dates and mint marks visible, regularly fetch $300 to $600 at auction. Coins with extreme off-centering, where Roosevelt's profile is barely clinging to the edge, have sold for over $1,000, especially when preserved in mint state grades. Clipped planchet errors show similar patterns. Minor clips, where just a tiny nibble is missing, might sell for $25 to $50. But dramatic full clips, particularly those combined with a high-grade, lustrous surface, can push past $500. And if you get a double clip, where two edges of the coin are clipped, now you're talking even bigger money. One really fun story: in 2018, a collector walking through a local coin show found a 2003 dime that had not just a full off-center strike but also a visible partial collar error. This double error was so unusual that the coin sold privately for over $2,000 within a week. It just goes to show that even with modern coins, the unexpected still grabs attention, and serious dollars. Condition, once again, makes or breaks the value. A 2003 auction. Today, we're bringing the spotlight to 3 dimes that have defied expectations, quietly becoming some of the most sought-after coins among collectors and investors alike. These aren't ancient rarities locked behind museum glass, they're modern-era coins you might have brushed past without even knowing. Stay with me as we explore the stories, the secrets, and the real-world market value behind these fascinating pieces. Let's kick things off with the 1998 US. 1 dime, a coin that at first glance seems perfectly ordinary, but dig a little deeper and you'll find it's anything but. The story of the 1998 dime starts with the Philadelphia Mint, one of the oldest and busiest in the country. By the late 90s, coin production was running at a breakneck pace. Billions of coins were flying off the presses every year. With that volume, small mistakes could, and did, slip through the cracks, making error coins like the 1998 dime possible. One of the standout varieties for the 1998 dime is the no mint mark version. Now, a missing mint mark might not sound like a big deal at first, but here's why it matters. Normally, dimes produced in Philadelphia around that time still carried a P mint mark. When that mark is absent, it immediately signals something went wrong during production. Most often, it's because the die used to stamp the coins wasn't properly prepared. That tiny omission instantly turns an everyday coin into a rarity. Key identifying features collectors look for include a crisp, clean Roosevelt profile on the obverse, no P mint mark above the date, and a strong strike overall. Some 1998 dimes without a mint mark show slight doubling. That's a subtle shadowing or ghosting effect around the lettering and date, a result of minor mechanical mishaps during production. It's details like these that send seasoned collectors reaching for their loupes. Now, let's talk about value. A standard 1998 dime in circulated condition, even without the mint mark, might fetch around $15 to $50, not bad for a coin that once lived in someone's jean pocket. But in higher grades, especially mint state 65 and above, the price jumps dramatically. Examples graded MS-68, with brilliant surfaces and razor-sharp strikes, have sold for $500 to $750 at auction. A few exceptional pieces with Top Pop certification have even nudged past the $1,000 mark when multiple bidders get involved. It's proof that condition truly reigns supreme in numismatics. An interesting bit of trivia: in the late 90s, as cameo examples, where the raised designs look like they're floating above a pool of liquid silver, are the crown jewels. A 1968 NOS-proof dime with a strong deep cameo can almost double the price of one without that striking contrast. One of the most fascinating things about the 1968 NOS dime is how it was discovered. It wasn't an error the mint found and recalled. It was ordinary collectors, people like you, who opened their standard government-issued proof sets at home, looked closely, and realized something was wrong. Imagine the excitement and disbelief of realizing that the dime you just pulled from a $5 proof set might be worth more than a new car. Early news of these finds spread quickly through the numismatic community in the late 60s and early 70s, fueling a rush on unopened proof sets from that year. Many collectors hoped lightning would strike twice. But it rarely did. In the decade since, a handful more have surfaced. Occasionally, someone will stumble across one hidden in a collection inherited from a parent or grandparent, a forgotten treasure lying unnoticed for decades. Auction houses still field calls from hopeful owners, and authentication services are always on alert for possible new examples. It's the kind of find that numismatic dreams are made of. It's worth mentioning that not every 1968 dime without a mint mark is valuable. In 1968, regular Philadelphia mint dimes were made without any mint mark at all. Those are common and worth about face value unless in pristine mint state. The key difference is the proof quality, mirror fields, frosted designs, precision striking. Without those signs, a no mint mark dime from 1968 is just a normal coin. But when you spot those proof characteristics, especially combined with the missing S, you might just be holding a 5-figure rarity in your hand. If you're checking your coins for one, patience is key. Lighting matters. Angled light reveals those mirrored fields better, and a good 10x loupe helps to spot fine surface details. Pay special attention to Roosevelt's hair and the torch's flame on the reverse. Proof coins will show extremely sharp definition here. If you see softness, it's probably not a proof. Today, the 1968 NOS proof dime stands as a shining example, no pun intended, of why collectors keep searching, why they pore over details, and why even the most unassuming coins deserve a second look. It's a coin born from a mistake, elevated by its rarity, and beloved because it captures the heart of the hobby, the thrill of discovery.